Hey, what up, family? We have another exciting guest today on the Release the Chains podcast. We have my guy Ricardo over here. So, Ricardo is a very super interesting dude. I met him at a mastermind, and I could tell he's a really consistent person. Like, he's just super consistent. Every time that I saw him at the mastermind, he was just doing something consistent, whether it was working out or taking notes or talking to people. He was just consistently doing it, and it was really dope to see. And as a young kid, it was super impressive. Um, so, Ricardo, introduce yourself, man. Who are you? What do you got going on, and all that fun stuff?
My name is Ricardo Guerrero. I'm 18, and um, I just operate this wholesale real estate company that I recently got set up. So joined this Avengers Mastermind. Kind of had a long, inspirational entrepreneurship journey to get here at such a young age. But yeah, it's been quite a journey.
A long entrepreneurial journey at 18 years old. That's impressive, bro.
Yeah.
So, at the moment, you have a wholesale business going, right?
Yeah, just got kind of everything set up really this month. So hopefully I can get rolling, hopefully in this June and July, this summer, kind of get my first deal under my belt. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Start cranking some deals, baby. Could you tell your story? You have a super interesting story. Could you
Like
just
the
say
whole thing,
back
or
when you were youngin?
wait, do you want like a short version or like really, or like the whole
We
thing?
got time, baby. Do your thing.
All right. So I guess I'll make this more clear because they didn't really explain it that much when Cole Hatter said it. But basically, for me, it really started off when I was in high school. I was a struggling student pretty much my whole life. Ever since fourth grade, I've been in special education and I just struggled with school. I never thought I was like dumb or anything, but for some reason, it just never really worked out for me. I didn't get in trouble, but I just never really did any of the work. It just never clicked for me until it was during the pandemic in 2020 is when I was entering my junior year and I was realizing that it was getting really hard and I was struggling way more than I thought. And it was kind of just, I really didn't like where I was heading. I was afraid that I was going to go to college and I'm struggling in high school and I'm going to struggle over there. So I didn't really see a future for me, but I knew that there was something I could do. And I didn't know what it was. So during quarantine, I started researching real estate. I was 16 at that time, where I researched on the internet ways to make money because I had a job and I really liked money. It was always kind of just in my blood because we grew up really poor, like very poor. My parents were immigrants. My dad was homeless as a kid, so definitely humble beginnings for our family. And so yeah, discovered real estate. It just really clicked for me at 16 and 17. I knew that that was my ticket out of this area, out of this life, and so I was super upset. And every month I went to school, I just hated it more and more until I decided that I was going to weigh out the benefits and the costs. And I made the decision to leave, and no one supported me. No one. It was just, I was my biggest supporter. And for about a year at 17, I was working at Panera Bread and at a local dairy farm. And I saved up $20,000 doing that at 17, first year. And from there, at the end of that year, I left those jobs because I was dabbling with the stock market a bit. And from there, I was making some good money. I was making 10,000 a month with that, but I didn't have much experience. I
Yes.
was kind of, yeah, it was 10,000 a month, and that was
Yes, in the
pretty
stock
impressive.
market, you were making 10 grand.
Yeah, it was like off the bat. Like I had a decent understanding, but I didn't really like. I went with it, and I noticed that I started to do well, and this was for about a month. And then the next month I did just as good. So I realized that, why do I need to work these jobs? I can make money here. So I left and I started to do that late 2021 until I discovered this group called Kane Capital. And it was a free group to join. They were kind of small at the time. They were growing pretty quickly. And I joined them and they kind of introduced options to me. And that's what really forced my growth with that money. And so at that time, I didn't really understand options. It was kind of a big group, so they weren't really individually teaching you. They were just telling you. And I will admit that a bit of it comes to luck, but I was really there all the time. I set aside real estate for the time being, even though when I was 17, that's all I did, learn about real estate. I went through so many books and so many podcasts at 17, and I kind of threw it all away to really go with the stock market because that was working for me at the time. And so this is 2022 January. So a couple months ago, all this stuff happened kind of fast. Is when I really pumped it up really heavy. Like I did risky trades without really knowing, and I went heavy on every single one of them. And I was doing so well. Like I think the most I ever made in a day was 24,000. That was the most I ever made in one day.
Damn, bro. Holy crap.
But, like all things, I remember it was like the first time I made like 4,000 in like a couple of seconds. And that to me was crazy to think about, like to see your account make that jump in that short amount of time. It just had you hooked and you weren't really thinking about the losses. You were just thinking about the wins. So that was kind of my mindset. And I just kept going and going. And I thought these guys were super good at the time, but it was just the fact that I was pushing way heavier and riskier trades than they were willing to put. And so that really forced kind of my growth. And then kind of late January is when it kind of started to fall down. And I was in the process of looking at a house in Tennessee because that was always my market. And it kind of started to come down. I started to take loss after loss after loss. And I kind of realized that, I can't sustain this. Like there's no way that I'm going to be able to sustain this in the future. And that kind of crumbled away that vision of going into the stock market and making that a full-time thing. So I jumped back to real estate, and I met with an agent in Tennessee to purchase my first property. And we went through that process January, February, and it just didn't work out. I couldn't get approved for a bank loan. And that really sucked. I was upset at that a lot because, I went from doing well in the stock market. Now I lost a lot. And now my house fell out of contract and I was just frustrated. And so I had to look for a different option. And again, I went back to the internet to learn and to see what I could do. And I saw Pace Morby on the Bigger Pockets podcast. And when I saw what he said, I was like, that's what I need because I can't get approved by a bank. So one thing leads to another. I joined his group without question. I meet the guys there. That's when I learned community and networking, because before that, I was never really in any groups. It was just me by myself, because everyone I met just kind of shunned me away because they saw what I was doing and they thought that was crazy to leave high school and to do this full time. So I kept away from people at that time until I got reintroduced into a group, which was Sub 2. And then from there, they had the Clever Summit. And when I joined there, I remember seeing the Avengers panel, and that's when I saw all these other guys. And when they introduced the Avengers panel, I never really thought about joining the Avengers. It was never my intention, or it was in the back of my mind. I had this gut feeling that I had when I dropped out and when I went into all this. And that gut feeling came back to me. And I feel like I kind of knew that I was going to go there somehow. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I was going to be in that group of people. And I wasn't planning to go. Like I was talking to my brother, he was there. He said, yeah, it's probably not the best idea because we're such beginners. We have no business over there. So they introduced it on the second day. I didn't join. Third day comes along, end of the event. I meet a guy, Josh, one of the Avengers, in the bathroom. And I started talking to him about, I was thinking about joining because I was just curious. But I wanted to ask him, is this like something for beginners? And he said, that's how I got started. I jumped into a big, scary group of people that are way bigger than me. And that's how he got built. So that just reminded me of myself. And I'm like, that's what I have to do. I'm going to go through with this. And I talked to him, and then I joined pretty much last minute. It was the end of the event. And my brother saw me joining, and he didn't want to be left behind. So he joined as well. And we paid for the whole thing, both of us. So that was a pretty expensive thing. That's kind of what brought my capital all the way down. But I still have some left that I used to get everything up and running. But yeah, that's kind of my full story, I guess, or most of it.
Holy crap, bro. I got the chills probably like 3 or 4 times during that story. Dude, you are a freaking gangster. Like, holy shit. Could you talk about before high school? Like what did life look like before high school?
Before, yeah, I was actually a very, I guess, not like this, the complete opposite of all these guys. I was very negative person growing up. Like I wasn't a jerk to really anyone, but I was just not positive at all. I was actually really overweight. When I was in elementary school, I kind of got picked on and bullied because I was overweight. I wasn't smart either because of my grades. So it was just a constant struggle for me. And I was always kind of that. I always felt like I was the child that got picked on the most by my parents. Like they kind of excluded me, I feel like, mainly because I was kind of just more rebellious than all my other brothers. So I kind of ended up getting into the most trouble. Just, I was overweight. None of them were. I was. So, and it kind of all clicked. I guess fifth grade, I started to lose the weight, and that started my first life lesson journey on like discovering consistency. That's how I lost weight, got into shape. So I started to learn little things in life. And since we were poor, my parents, they were there, but they were always working. Like there were things, we grew up in a rich area, but we were poor. So we were surrounded by wealth all the time in New Jersey, this very wealthy area. And we did things differently. Like when families would go to sit down to have dinner, that was so weird to us because our family was always working. My parents were always like working some job. So they would just have dinner there and everyone would just grab and eat them for themselves and do everything themselves. So it was a very different lifestyle from what we heard about all these other kids doing. So it kind of made you feel different. So,
Yeah, man, that's crazy. So do you think that like anger mentality kind of came from the poverty and all that? And just like
well,
the
it was kind of just what really drove me, I guess, at that last part was just my anger and kind of at really the school system is what really upsetted me the most. It was kind of really what pushed the boundary to make me leave and to do this full time because I really felt like I'd accomplished things before.
Oh,
Like,
I'm talking more like in the elementary phase. Like, why was Ricardo an angry dude?
I think it was just because I didn't really have this kind of like runs in my family. We were all very antisocial. Like none of us really talked, and I feel like it was the fact that I was always different. I felt like I was kind of just put on the back burner. I felt like with most people, I didn't really have a designated group. I was like always an outsider, outcast. I didn't really hang out with this specific group of kids. I was just going from here to there to there. But when I went home, I never really hung out with anyone else. It was just me, just focused on myself. I didn't really think about anyone else and just kind of slowly evolved into just being upset all the time. So,
Dude, that is crazy because you changed at a very, very young age, just like you're changing now at a very, very young age. Like, bro, to make all that money from 17 to 18 and be a freaking gangster. By the way, I'm just gonna put it out there. The Avengers is like 40 freaking grand. This
yeah.
dude put his nuts on the table at 18 years old and just said, screw it. I was being a little chicken about getting in the Avengers. I'm like, nah, babe. Like my girl wanted me to do it. I'm like, nah, babe. I'm not spending the money. I'm not spending the money. She was pushing me, pushing me, pushing me. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have done it.
Mm.
But I also had that same type of feeling that you did. Um, but I say all this to say it's super crazy how young that you realize stuff. Like at fifth grade, you started realizing consistency because I actually, in my personal life, I have kind of a similar story um, from a broader sense, and I didn't get that. I didn't get that consistency when it came to, I would say, mindset until I was about 23 years old,
Mm.
and that's after college, bro. Like I there was one thing that I was super consistent with before that, and it started freshman year of high school, and that was lifting weights. But that was because I was a football player and I was hiding all my bullshit that I was dealing with behind the weights. So I would literally just go in the weight room for freaking 2 or 3 hours a day because I didn't want to go home because home stunk.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't until like 23 years old that's when I really started having some mindset shifts, and I was like, yo, I'm fucked up. I gotta figure this shit out. But dude, you did that at fifth grade. Like that's the high level shit. That's crazy. Bro, that is so nuts. So you needed some mindset things in order to take the jump. You needed some mindset things to change in order to take the jump at 16 years old to say, screw school, I'm done. Correct? Like something
Yeah.
had to change there. What was the change? Like what made it be like, all right, yeah, this is it. Something clicked in my brain. I'm ready to just say, screw everybody. I'm out. I'm gonna make this shit happen on my own.
I feel like it was two things. One was just thinking logically. So thinking logically was a big one for me. And number two was knowing that I can accomplish things that I set my mind to. Because I learned that, in fifth grade, because I was fat, like really overweight. Um, that's when I decided that I wanted to lose it. And I messed up every diet I did, but I learned that in the end, I still lost weight because I was just trying and attempting. So, and then a second thing that I learned from a guy, he was one of my best friends. He built a computer, and I was really good friends with him. And he just randomly told me, like, hey, I think you could build one too. Like, all you got to do is research how to do it and build one. And me knowing you, I think you could do that. And so that was the second thing I accomplished that was outside of school in my life that I felt really proud of, to go out there. I had no idea about anything about computers, research all the stuff, purchase all the parts, and build it. And then it did, and it worked. And I was like, okay, so I can do things outside of school. So I kind of realized that I can get things done outside of school, but not in school. It was weird how like school just kind of restricted me because I just didn't like it so much. And when it came down to the moment of leaving, what went through my mind was I had a job at that time. And from knowing like my dad's past, like he was a super hard worker. Like he sacrificed so much to get me here. Like his story blows mine out of the water. Like just I don't even know much about it. But all I know is he left home at about 13, was living on the street in Mexico City on a construction site as a teenager, younger than me. So, and he made that jump to go to America at like my age, which is like blows mine out of the water. I don't know like all the details, but all I know is that he has a way more interesting story than I did. And he started to tell me that as I started to grow up. And that kind of made me think like, he went through all of that, and here I am struggling with this stuff, working a job at a Panera, I could do that. So I worked there a lot, and I learned that I could work a lot of hours, like without complaining or being bothered. So that was a skill that I had, or I felt like was a skill that I knew that I could apply that to something. So I can't apply it to school because it doesn't work. Because for some reason, I just can't do it. I don't know what it was, but I could apply it to work, building computers, exercise. And when I started to really fail in school, it started to frustrate me. And I saw real estate. And I knew that being young was my biggest asset. And I figured that, okay, most of these big real estate guys today got started in their 20s, late 20s. They got started so late in life. And I'm so young. And I don't think anyone has done what I've done, and to push it to the level that I'm going to push it to.
I'm talking trash about me, dog.
Get it? Well, that's what went through my mind. Because like I would see all those Bigger Pockets podcasts, and all these guys said, "Oh, I got started after college or during college." And I'm like, okay, well, I got a huge time advantage on these guys, but I'm in high school, which is restricting me. So if I leave and do this full time, I know that I can get way farther than them, but there's going to be some struggle. I had to make sure that kind of had a backup plan. So I did research, and I knew that if I leave high school, I could technically still go to college, which I never planned on doing anyways. So it was just for my mom to kind of get off my shoulder, because she was obviously very against the idea. No one supported it except me, because I knew that, okay, if I stay in high school, I'm going to struggle, end up in college and struggle there. And I just knew that I wanted to be like in business in the real estate industry, because I saw that that's how wealth is created. But no one else saw that. So I kind of had to make the decision on my own. So that's where the logic came in. When you're being taught like a bunch of garbage in school, I know I'm not going to use it. I know the high school diploma isn't going to help me for real estate. So what am I doing here? That's kind of what I asked myself. Like, why am I here? I have no reason to be here. I'm only here because everyone else is here. And that really clicked to me that I have to get away from these people. And I did. And when I made that jump, the biggest change for me was my environment. I didn't know this at the time because I was still a beginner. when I dropped out of high school, the biggest advantage was the time, and the second one I didn't see was the environment. I took myself out of the high school environment, which at the time, looking back, is a horrible environment. High school was the worst environment looking back. The way that everyone was so negative, everyone cared about what everyone looked and said, and you'd never post anything because you're in fear of what the other guy would think. It was a horrible environment looking back, and I'm glad I made that decision because when I left, it put me into the adult environment, which made me mature very quickly and understand that I started working at these jobs and seeing these adults miserable. And I'm like, I don't want to be that. That's what I don't want. So I have to find, I can't end up like that. I knew that. And everyone was still back there in high school, whatever I was doing, because I eliminated all my social media to get them away from me.
Yeah.
And I jumped into reading books and watching videos. And that kind of became my guidance. The videos online that are super motivational and positive, and books. So those kind of became my guidance throughout 17 years old when I made the jump.
This is impressive, bro. Dude, you are light years ahead of anybody you see on social media. Like these dudes, all these influencers doing a bunch of real estate deals. You are legit light years ahead of them. I could tell you at 18 years old, they haven't done the stuff that you've done up to this point. Nor did they have the mindset that you have already. So it's crazy, bro. So nuts. So with that being said, where are you at in real estate right now? Like what's the journey looking like for you?
So right now, I shied away from purchasing the just long-term rental because I need capital now. I need to build up my, I guess, just income in general. Because
So
right now,
sorry to interrupt, but was the plan while you were crushing it in the stock market, was your plan to use the money from the stock market to get a bunch of rentals?
Yeah, it was to purchase long-term rentals. I actually avoided wholesaling because I didn't want the quick check. I didn't want to have a check of 15,000. I wanted the long-term rental because I knew that that would be more beneficial for my age instead of just getting a 15K check. So I actually avoided it intentionally until I got into sub 2, where they said, okay, this is something that people should start with, and to have the money coming in would be really useful to grow your business. And so I kind of shifted away from that and went, okay, I need some serious income. So
what prevents you from going back to the stock market and running it back up?
I guess just loss of faith, and it was also the market went really bad during that time. Like in December, it really exploded with these guys, and we did really well. And so it was kind of the constant like tank of your money really made me lose faith, because in real estate it's kind of different. In the stock market, when you do everything right in the stock market, you still have a chance of losing, and that mindset kind of really hit me hard. It was kind of a different way of thinking. It's very different from real estate. They think differently. And I kind of knew that I was taking these losses and I was going to take my account really low. And I started to lose faith because when I started to lose, I realized I can get it back up. I've made money before, I can do it again. And I couldn't. And it kept going down and down and down. And then I lost the faith of it. Like, I don't think I can get this back up. So I got to like take time off or wait or do something, but I can't keep doing this. So I decided to go back to my roots, which was real estate, and just stick with that.
So you thought to yourself, you're like, you know what? I need some sort of steady pay every single month of active income, right? Because I would say maybe, I don't really know too much about the stock market, to be honest, but I would say day trading and doing the other things that you were doing is sort of like active income. Would you say that?
Yeah, it's pretty time consuming, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's sort of like active income. And you saw that active income stream kind of go away for you, right?
Yeah, it was like it's kind of like a big slap in the face at the end, because it was weird just doing so well consistently for a few months and then just have it come down. And then also I learned that a lot of people have a similar story. So I kind of realized that, okay, this is normal for a lot of people that come in, they do really well, and then reality kicks in. They realize that they're not doing so well. and they don't have really what it takes yet to be at that level. So that's kind of what I learned.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. So essentially now you just want to replace your active income that you were getting from the stock market into real estate. And the way you're trying to get active income in real estate is through wholesale. And you want to use that active income from your wholesale business in order to get the rentals that you were trying to get in the first place, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
use that wholesale income to get rentals, and or maybe even skip the rental part because I'm around bigger people than me. So I was debating to take down like maybe commercial deals because I'm around guys that are in commercial with this Avenger group. So I'm thinking, maybe I should take advantage of that and go after commercial deals that are bigger than me. So
Love it. So first things first is getting the wholesale business started up.
yeah.
So what have you done so far in order to get that thing going?
So I guess entity wise, LLC, VA, and all the leads are coming in. Like everything's set up. It's just a matter of me managing it and learning how to refine it and get better. Because having a wholesale business is pretty new to me. I'm just seeing what other guys are doing, but I still have to refine what I'm doing and understand it a bit more because I don't have much experience in this field when it comes to wholesaling,
Mhm.
but a lot of these guys do. So I'm just kind of learning from them to improve what I got, which is, I guess I got one VA as of now. Everything's set up. Business credit is moving. So it's kind of in the stages of getting off the ground, I'd say.
Got it. Okay, cool. So you're already generating leads?
Yeah. May was my first month of like everything's like running. Like we have the VA cold calling. I'm making some appointments or just getting into the start of making appointments. So yeah.
Okay, how many leads?
Probably like maybe 2 a day, something like that. I
Dude,
mean,
that's good.
but they're not like great leads. That's the only issue. They're two, but they're not great.
Do they have motivation?
Some of them do. It's kind of like all over the place. I think because in the beginning I wasn't sure where to pull my list from, but I just pulled them from PropStream, and I didn't have any really target. I was just pulling because Star Virtual had a minimum of 5,000 numbers or five
Yeah.
thousand leads. So I was just pulling vacancy foreclosures just from all over Tennessee to fill that minimum up. So the leads probably aren't the best, and I kind of knew that coming in. But now that I'm around these guys using Deal Automator or switching from PropStream to there and to focusing on getting better leads. So
Okay, yeah. So when it comes to the lists themselves, there are better data providers and stuff. But dude, all these lists, like people will ask, hey, what's the best list to get? Is it vacants? Is it this? Like what list are you using? What list are you using? The list doesn't matter too much. It's about how you're working the list, right? And if you're doing it consistent. The good news is you are a consistent motherfucker, so you're getting it done, right? Every single week you're generating 2 leads a day. That's crazy. Now, those 2 leads, in order to consider them leads that go in your CRM, they should be tied to some type of motivation. And just because they have motivation doesn't mean they have to sell today. They could say, yeah, I want to sell my property because I'm retiring in 6 months. And by the end of the year, I want to move down to Florida. Right? Like that's motivation. Even though they don't want to sell today, that's something that you want in your CRM that you're going to want to keep following up with. So a lot of our deals, I was just talking to my sales guy earlier. Pretty much every single one of our deals takes a while for them to turn into a contract. Like we're touching these people 13, 15, 17, 25 times sometimes, and we're constantly following up. Right? So the follow-up is important, but in order to build that pipeline, you got to have those leads that are coming in have some sort of motivation. Timeline isn't too important. Go put it in the CRM and set follow-ups. And then all of a sudden you're going to see, 3 months down the line, leads from the beginning of your business start converting. You're like, oh, wait, okay, boom, contract. So what I tell the people that are just starting out with a wholesaling business, I'm like, get all your ducks in a line, figure out how much it's going to cost you, or actually figure out how much you want to make, right? And then reverse engineer what it takes to make that. Once you reverse engineer it, and what I mean by reverse engineer it, you say, okay, yeah, I want to make, let's use my market for a perfect example. Let's just say the average wholesale fee is 25,000 bucks. And I want to make $50,000 a month. Okay, what do we got to do in order to get 50,000 bucks a month? We have to get 2 deals. How do we get 2 deals? Okay, we got to have 2 VAs calling full time, generating 2 leads or more each a day. Okay, got it. How much is that going to cost me? That's going to cost me probably somewhere around 4 to 5,000 bucks. Okay, cool. Now I know I need 4 or 5,000 bucks a month in order to keep my system going. Now let's prepare to not see any money for the next 3 months, because we're going to convert leads today. We're going to get leads today that probably won't convert until 6 weeks from now. That probably won't close until 6 weeks after that. So we're not going to receive any of our money that we've spent up to this point for 3 months. So I would reverse engineer exactly what you want to make, exactly how many deals that is, exactly what needs to be done in order to get those deals. And then from there, make sure that you just set aside that budget and just say, hey, it's going to cost me about $5,000 a month for 3-4 months. I'm cool without seeing $20,000 for the next 4 months. I'm essentially just throwing the $20,000 to the side. I'll see you later. And I can't look at it for 4 months. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But with that being said, the leads that you have right now, if they're tied to motivation, you're going to start seeing some of them convert. If your sales is on point. So have you done some sales training? Like, have you been listening to seller calls? Have you been role playing? Have you been doing anything like that?
Yeah, I've been. I'm always just listening to podcasts and attending certain Pace Morby Zooms that he has, and I got a lot of resources now. It's kind of tough to pick which one I want because there's so many now. Pace Morby has a ton. The Avengers, they have a ton of stuff there as well, and then just people like you and Mamadou that have their own little things going on. So it's there's a lot of resources to use. So I'm kind of taking a bit from all of it. I don't know if that's the right approach, but that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. It's almost just like real estate, right? Like real estate in general. The hard thing about real estate is that there's so many avenues you can go. You can go do Airbnb, you can do wholesale, you can do this, you can do that. Like there's so many things. Once you open up the book and you're like, crap, where do I start? You get stressed out. And you're looking at too many things. It's actually what was preventing me from making money in the beginning. I knew I wanted to wholesale. I just opened the book and I saw that there was like a million different ways to market. So I wasn't super consistent with one. I was doing a bunch of different types. I was direct mail. I was trying to get on radio. I was driving for dollars. I was cold calling. I was doing like 20 different things. Nothing was sticking because I wasn't consistent with any of them. Now, if I just stuck with one thing and got really good at it and was super, super consistent with it, I would have made money quicker. But it was just a learning process that I had to go through in order to figure that out. So with that being said, here's the thing with sales, bro. You want to understand your particular sales structure in your sales process. Like Ricardo should be going by some sort of sales process, whether he takes a couple pieces from different people's sales process, puts them together and makes his own, or just strictly goes off of somebody else's. He wants to abide by some sort of sales process and learn it and understand it and get really freaking good at it, practice it, all that. The reason being is because if you don't, you're going to fall victim to the prospect's sales process. Because every prospect, just think about it. Think about when Ricardo walks into a, let's just say, mattress store or something. They're trying to sell him on some things, right? Like you already have your internal sales process. All right, sales guy's coming. I know what's happening. I know exactly what I'm going to say when he says this and that and the other, right? Like, so you're going to fall victim if you don't, as a salesman, if you don't have your own process, you're going to fall victim to the prospect's process.
Got it.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I've heard that before, actually, but yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people will say that. It's like, it would be like in football. If you're on offense, right? If Tom Brady's on offense and he doesn't have his own process and stuff and his own offense installed, he's going to fall victim to the defense. The defense is going to eat him up. Vice versa. If you're on defense, if you're the linebacker and you guys don't have some sort of game plan, the offense is just going to eat you up. So it's the same thing in sales. Like you want to stick by your structure. And then what's cool, same analogy, same thing. Just like offense and defense in football, like you have your structure that you abide by, but then maybe with certain different teams, you go about things just a little bit different. Same thing with sellers and prospects. You have your structure that you abide by, but maybe Ricardo is my prospect and he has a different personality than Jim, who is my other prospect. So I keep them within the same structure, but I treat them a little bit different pertaining to their particular personality. It's the way I pronounce things. It's my speed, it's my tone, it's all that. So I'm analyzing the prospect and seeing what their personality is and adjusting to that, but also sticking to my structure at the same time. So with all that being said, I would pick somebody that you really, really resonate with and hammer their content. One book that I would truly recommend, what I use my sales structure from, is the book actually Pace recommends, which is How You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. So that's the sales structure that I use and that I have my team use. And it's what Pace goes off of. And I learned all my sales from Pace. So what was cool is in the beginning, all I did was learn Pace's sales structure. I listened to all of his calls in the modules. I listened to his sales training. And then I got in the daily dial. I practiced. I listened to his leaders at the time that told me what to do, and they also learned from him. So essentially it all came from his process. And Sandler, the author of the book that I was just telling you about, his process, it came from that. And I just kept repeating it. Got really good at it. However, what ended up happening was I wasn't being myself because I was trying to do exactly what Sandler and Pace were doing. Like, for example, Pace's exact words. I would try to say those exact words that he was saying in some of his questions to like pull pain or something like that from a prospect. And it just wasn't coming out naturally. So once I recognized that, I started listening to a bunch of different people, like on YouTube and their sales calls. And I just started picking little piece by piece, some of their stuff. Now I have my own sales process that I use when I'm on the phone. However, I teach my team, to keep it simple, I teach them the Sandler model. So my model is still the Sandler structure. And Sandler is, like I said, the author of You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. That's still my structure, but now I have all these little tools that I can use just because I've done a bunch of listening to other people's stuff. I've done a bunch of calls myself. I'll practice on sellers. I'll like pitch little things and be like, hey, I thought about something earlier. Let me try that out. So now I'm building my own tool belt, but that just comes with experience and listening to other people.
Got it.
Am I losing you?
No, I'm unaware.
But with that being said, bro, when it comes to sales, I would definitely, in the beginning, just get laser focused on one thing. Like that was my biggest problem in the beginning. So I was just trying to do everything. Same thing with your business. Like the entirety of your business. I was trying to do everything. I was saying this on the last podcast last week. I was trying to do dispo. I was trying to close. I was trying to run my systems. I was trying to do everything. And I was doing deals. The reason I was doing deals is because I got good at sales as well. That allowed me to convert. Let me back up just a little bit, just so you can have an understanding. I was generating leads for about maybe 3 months, no contracts. I get in a sub two. By the way, when I was generating those leads, I was doing everything. I was managing my virtual assistants. I was doing all that. I was pulling lists. I was doing all the systems. I was calling sellers. I was doing legit everything. Did that for 3 months, no contracts. I get into sub two, and Pace gave me some really good advice. He's like, bro, you're generating leads. You should be converting. Sounds like you have a conversion problem. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? He's like, go learn how to talk to sellers, go learn sales. So what I did is I dove into his content and literally like the top three things I did. Listen to his sales training, listen to his seller calls. Actually, one more thing. Read the book You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. Really analyzed that book and studied it. And then number four, I practiced. And that practice came from the Daily Dial one, which is role plays every single, and you have access to that. It's role plays every single morning. I took action. I'm like, okay, got it. Let's go. How do I talk to sellers? And I roll on the Daily Dial. That was my practice. And then also my practice was my sellers that I was talking to. Me and a couple people in sub two would hop in a Zoom and we would go call for call. I would call a seller, they would call a seller. I would call a seller, they would call a seller. And we would go back and forth and give each other feedback. So there was a lot of practice and there was a lot of learning. And I was super consistent with that. The thing that stunk is that as I was doing that, my systems started to lack because I was so focused on that. So there was just like inconsistencies in my business. So what I ended up doing is I ended up finding a partner, and now I'm able to be a little bit more free and just focus on the sales department. So with that being said, it might take a little bit for you to generate some deals and get really good at sales so that you can attract a partner that can come in and run your systems and stuff like that. Or you are the systems person. That's something that you just got to figure out. But then you bring on a partner. Do you have any questions at the moment?
Wait, so you have a person that just runs all your systems that isn't you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And wait, do you pay? Is this like another virtual assistant, or is this like an actual partner of yours?
No, this is my partner. Like this is my partner on my LLC.
Got it.
And his sole job is just to run the systems. I'm the guy dealing with all the conversations and doing deals and all that stuff. And he's the guy just making everything happen in the background.
Got it.
So that another book that you could go read is Rocket Fuel.
Oh yeah, I went through that one. I think. Yeah.
You read it?
Yeah, and there was wait, is Rocket Fuel the first one or is it Traction?
I think Traction might be the first one, and then Rocket Fuel is the second one. I'm not sure the order, but yeah, Rocket Fuel talks about the partnerships. Traction just talks about the business in general, pretty much.
Got it.
But, yeah, dude. I mean, what do you think? Do you think your strong suit might be more systems or more sales?
I'm still kind of figuring that out because all this stuff is pretty new to me, so I don't have a strong track record in either part. Right now, I'm leaning more towards the sales side because I feel like that's what I've been just surrounded. I'm surrounded by more sales than I am, just working on systems.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like sales might be the route I go. But if not, then I'll, switch over to systems and see how I can manage that.
Would you rather talk to people or would you rather like do all the analytics and pull lists and make sure leads are coming in?
I mean, I feel like they both, for me, they're kind of equal in a way. I'm just debating which one that I'm better at. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You're cutting out a little bit.
Hello.
Gotcha now.
All right. It froze a bit. I don't know. All right. We good?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So yeah, I'm still trying to pick up on both of those. But yeah, I think I'm a bit more on the sales side because I'm reading about books on sales right now. It's kind of interesting me. So that's the side I'm leaning towards. But only time will tell about which one I end up going all out on. So
Cool. Yeah, if I could give you some advice, I would say, dude, since you're already generating leads, which is a good thing, you have an itch to scratch, right? Sounds like you have to figure out if sales is your thing. So go scratch the itch, bro. Go see if sales is what you want to do. And in order to see if that's what you want to do and see if that's what your strong suit is, go spend a lot of time on sales training. And that is learning and that is practicing. So just to give you an idea of what I did was those four things. It was listening to all of Pace's calls, his sales training, the book, and then practice on my sellers in the daily dial and on a call with other sub two students going back and forth with actual sellers. And I did
yeah,
that consistently every single day. And to this day, like I still need to practice. Like I'm not that great, but I got to the point where I could close.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, bro. And then what ends up happening from there is you just end up attracting a partner. Like a lot of people will think about a partnership the wrong way, and they'll just be like, "Okay, I all I want to do is just talk to sellers. Can somebody generate me leads?" I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but what's your track record? Like, show me that you're good at talking to sellers, so that there's an integrator that is attracted to you that wants to do business with you, vice versa.
Wait, I got a question. So
Go ahead.
if you're looking for a partner, would you partner up with someone that has more experience than you, that you don't have a very strong relationship with, or would you partner with someone that's kind of at your level, but you're a lot more connected with them? Like, what do you think about looking for a partner?
So as far as the partnership goes, it's a value to value type of idea. Like me and my partner, all I want to do is just give him value, and he sees that, and he sees our relationship as um, a value exchange. Like he's giving me a ton of value, I'm giving him a ton of value. So there has to be some sort of value exchange there. And then you guys also have to click as well. So what we ended up doing is we had a like 2 or 3 month dating period where we didn't open up the LLC yet. We just got some deals done together and just didn't get absolutely legitimized like with the LLC and with all that until we dated for like 2 months, 2 or 3 months. So you could test it out. But as far as like experience goes, to be honest, he had no real estate experience. He does, though, have a lot of software experience, which led him to be a really good integrator. So I saw that and I'm like, oh, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, it's real estate. I got that down pat. Don't worry about that, bro. Just generate me leads. So I say all that to say, I would be looking at the value exchange. Like, is Ricardo a super consistent person who's going to hop on the phone with all the sellers no matter what at all times? That's probably a yes. And then is your partner somebody who you see as going to be super consistent on the system side? And you see that as your yes, and you're like, okay, there could be a value exchange there. It doesn't really matter the experience, it's more the value exchange.
Got it.
Because you'd hate to get in a partnership and realize 6 months in, like, damn, dude, I've been doing all the freaking work.
Yeah.
Because that resentment will happen. Partnerships are hard, bro. Definitely, you want a dating period in there to see how you guys vibe a little bit, see if it makes sense. A lot of the times, partnerships are created just on hype. Literally, I go to the Paces Mastermind in December, and these guys are my freaking homies. I love these dudes. But we were literally thinking about partnering up together, and we would be terrible freaking partners. Some dudes that I met at the Mastermind, we just wouldn't have been good partners. Like, we're all visionaries. It wouldn't end up working. We ended up finding out like a week or two after the Mastermind. We're like, hey, yeah, I think we're probably a better fit just doing our own thing. So we ended up all just venturing off doing our own thing. But if we actually went on the partnership together, it wouldn't have worked. We're all homies. Those are my freaking brothers. I love those guys. However, I just don't think a partnership between all of us would have been the best idea, because now I see what a partnership should look like. Like Andrew, my partner right now, loves systems. He loves it. Like, if somebody came to me, like, even if Pace came to me and he was like, Mike, dude, you're good at running systems. Can you run all the systems for me? I'd be like, damn, I don't really want to do that. You know what I mean? It's just not what I want to do.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts, bro?
On the partnership,
Just on everything. Like, what do you think the game plan is from here on out?
I guess for game plan, mainly just to kind of, I still need to educate myself more on getting everything nailed down, and then kind of mix it with a bit of, going through and making sure that I'm following up with the leads that I get, and to, refining and stuff. And I guess maybe looking into connecting with someone that's could be closer in my business. That's not just me. So kind of look for someone that could maybe assist me and I can assist them. I guess getting a kind of mini partnership started. So that might be something that I could look at.
Yeah, for sure, man. I would keep generating the leads. There's no reason to turn that faucet off. But you want to make sure that you're ready to convert those leads. So get really good at sales. You're going to end up attracting some sort of partnership, whether it's you running the systems or you being a sales guy. You'll figure that out probably within the next month or two after you dig into sales. I wouldn't be one to tell you, oh yeah, just go do systems, just go do sales. If you don't really have an idea, if you're like, I don't know, I like both, then shit, you got to try both. You got to taste some things, right? If you never had vanilla ice cream and you never had chocolate ice cream, how the heck are you going to figure out which one that you like without trying both?
Yeah.
So go dip into both, try to get really good at both, figure out which one that you like, and triple freaking down on that side. And if it's sales, get really, really good at sales, and you're going to attract an integrator to help you out with your systems and generate the leads for you. Vice versa. If you're like, sales really isn't my thing, but dude, I have all these freaking leads right here. There's a shit ton of closers who would love to partner up with you.
Got it.
Ricardo, my guy, bro, I know we're probably going to get on here again in like 3 months and you're going to make like $1 million in real estate already.
Hopefully.
You're a savage, bro.
Thanks.
What are your thoughts on everything?
You say that again? I don't know. Internet's getting kind of crappy.
I said, what are your thoughts, like some final thoughts on everything?
On what we did today?
Yeah, just like when we went over.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, actually, before this, I had a coaching call with Ron, the guy that coaches, or for Avengers. So it felt like another one of those to get more value to kind of direct me in the correct way. So yeah, it's very useful to have these calls and to just since when you're starting out, you kind of need guidance because there's just so much stuff from all directions that are coming at you. You don't really know where to start. So I guess by getting on calls like these and getting pointed into the right direction is really useful.
Love it, bro. Love it, love it. Cool, man. Well, hey, let's chat soon. I'll be seeing you in these upcoming months, probably at one of the Avengers meetups.
Yeah, Lake Tahoe, September, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the next one. Or they might have switched it. I think they might have switched it.
So.
But yeah, bro. Thank you for coming on here, dog.
You too. Thanks.